Review-A Raw for Monday night. Download a Tuesday morning from the Fight Network site. It's Review-A Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
It is John Pollock alongside Wai Ting, and this is Review-A Raw, coming out of the Royal Rumble and Monday night's episode of Raw from Laredo, Texas.
Yes.
How are you, Wai?
Pretty good.
You're pointing.
I was pointing at that other camera.
Oh, no one's watching, so don't worry about it. It's
Yeah.
just you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice sweater.
Thank you. I got it from you.
As
So thank you.
you and I are wearing each other's gifts. How romantic this is.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I love this.
I think it fits you. I
Gotten
saw
a lot
that.
of compliments.
I instantly thought of you.
This is a shirt I will wear maybe 3 times a year.
3 times.
3 whole times a year.
You've already worn it 2 days in a row.
Yeah. So I've used up 2 times. I got 1 more to go.
For the whole year?
Probably.
We're only at the end of the first month of the year.
Okay, maybe 4 times.
I think you're going to take a liking to that sweater.
Maybe.
It's a fun sweater to wear out. You got
Yes.
me this in Japan. Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
It fits you.
Wai, I put this on. It fits perfectly.
In Japan, we are larges.
We're large.
Yeah, we're not mediums. We're large
Fantastic.
and in charge.
Yes, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Let's get into Raw. From Monday night, coming out of the Royal Rumble. If you want to hear Wai's thoughts on the Royal Rumble, you can download Review-A Raw at liveaudiowrestling.com.
Nobody wants to hear my thoughts.
And we will get, well, you were pretty uncensored there for the start of this show. Kicked off with Kevin Owens coming out with Chris Jericho, both men selling the effects of the Royal Rumble. And Owens says how no one thought that he would leave the Alamo Dome as champion, and he's always proving people wrong. If there was a list of people that doubted him, it would be longer than Jericho's list. And he calls himself the guy and the one. And he blames Mick Foley and says he only has one person to thank for keeping the Universal title and beating Roman Reigns, and that is Chris Jericho. And they hug. Jericho says that he proved he is the greatest Royal Rumble competitor of all time, clocking in a lifetime length of 4 hours, 56 minutes, and 12 seconds, all time in the Royal Rumble, surpassing Triple H's former mark. And he now dubs himself the 61-minute man, because the 60-minute and 13-second man doesn't roll off the tongue as easy. So we're rounding up. He says that the only reason he didn't win the Royal Rumble was because he was suffering from vertigo, suffered from hanging over the ring in the shark cage for the Universal title match. And then they are interrupted by Braun Strowman, who says he interfered because he can't stand Roman Reigns. The fans are chanting, "Thank you, Strowman." And he wants a title shot against Kevin Owens and says, "You promised me a title shot." And then we pulled up footage from an entire month ago in Chicago where Kevin Owens said exactly that if he kept the title against against Roman Reigns, he would give a title shot to Braun Strowman. Mm-hmm. This might as well have been a clip from 5 years ago with the rate of how WWE so rarely references anything from TV beyond a week ago.
Do you think this was the plan this entire time?
I don't know if this was the plan the entire time, but
it played out perfectly.
hey, this was a great reason for a match. Mm-hmm. This all tied in together. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. It tied everything together nicely. And then he not only wants the title shot tonight, but he threatens to break Owens in half when Mick Foley comes out in an outfit that even I would not buy you for Christmas, Wai. This was an awful.
I liked it on him.
Really?
I thought it looked great. Oh, come on. Compared to
I
some of
guess.
the other ones?
Yes.
I thought this was a perfect combination of,
These weren't sweatpants he had on.
No, they were not. It was a green plaid jacket. And for Mick Foley...
This was pants and jacket, like checkered.
Plaid? Yeah. Maybe he got them at Odd Suits.
Opposites.
Opposites, yes, sorry.
They are odd suits they sell at Opposites.
But I like it for Mick.
So Jericho says it was CGI what they saw on the clip of Owens promising Strowman a title shot. And Foley still says the match is going to happen tonight with Owens and Jericho both protesting. But then Jericho stays in the ring because he has a match immediately with Sami Zayn. And I don't know if you noticed this, but both Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were wearing the fleur-de-lis on their arm for the mosque attack in Quebec City. So, yes. And I mean, Kevin Owens had spoken about it online, and Sami Zayn, who is someone of Syrian descent, has also spoken about just how disgusted he is with the Muslim ban. So I thought it was really noteworthy that these two acknowledged the attacks that happened in their home province over the weekend. Anyway, the match continues here. Zayn hit this moonsault off the barricade on the floor. They went through a commercial break. Jericho hit a Hurricane Rana off the turnbuckle and then came off the top with this double sledge, which was caught by Zayn, and a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Zayn repeatedly tried for the haluva kick, with Jericho avoiding it. Zayn applied a Greco-Roman knuckle lock and delivered a tornado DDT. And then Jericho got the walls applied. Zayn fought to the bottom rope. Jericho starts complaining to the referee. He gets hit with an exploder. And finally, Zayn connects with the haluva kick on his 3rd attempt, and he pins Chris Jericho, who, when you consider the amount of time this guy was utilized at the Royal Rumble between both matches, then coming back and doing this match with Sami Zayn, and then still he was going to do an angle later on in the show.
It's a lot of airtime.
This guy earned his pay from Sunday and Monday.
I'll say.
Holy Christ.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was a decent match, a good win for Zayn, and honestly, I mean, in light of recent events, Sami Zayn being a Muslim of Syrian descent from Quebec, I'm very glad he didn't lose tonight. I thought this was a case where he needed to win.
Do you think that this will set up a title match for the pay-per-view? Do you think this is going to go in that direction?
I think it's only natural he gets a U.S. title shot coming out of this.
Yeah, I think that would make the most sense here. Sheamus and Cesaro are backstage arguing about losing the tag titles. Sheamus says how Cesaro tried to hit the Cesaro swing on him, and then Sheamus tried to eliminate him in the Rumble. And then Bayley interjects, and they have a 6-person tag tonight against Charlotte, Gallows, and Anderson. And those 3 walk in, and they call themselves the champs, and they are the chumps and the failures. Lovely. Stephanie is in her office, and Kevin Owens storms in. He says that Strowman is the biggest guy on the roster. He went through hell last night. And Stephanie agrees. This was unfair of Mick Foley to make this title match, and she's going to have a talk with Mick Foley and try to get his match canceled, as Owens was pleading with Stephanie here. Tony Nese and Mustafa Ali was our first cruiserweight match on the show. And Tony Nese landed this inside-out clothesline, turning Ali over. Ali came back with his own clothesline and an enziguri out of the corner, rolled into his neck breaker, and then Ali hit a spin kick, climbed to the top. Nese grabbed his leg to stop, kicks him down. Nese then runs into the corner, and Ali crashes off the top to the floor, or onto the mat, and Nese hits a running knee and pins Mustafa Ali in 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Yeah, they really put over that imploding 450 is the proper terminology for it.
Is it imploding?
Yeah.
All right.
Because you're spinning on the inside.
Okay.
They call it inverted in reverse. Whatever, depends who you ask. But I hear the proper terminology is imploding 450.
See, I take that to, that sounds like something's like about to just fall apart. It's imploding.
Yeah, you are.
That'd be like he gets to the top and he just like, his stomach gives out and he just melts down.
Well, you are, collapsing. You're letting gravity implode you onto your opponent.
Okay. We'll give him that.
Anyway, I thought it was good stuff from these two. I think Ali, again, is very fun to watch. And it seemed like up until this point, the guy was getting a push. Now, all of a sudden, now I'm not so sure, coming out of this.
This is the drama of the cruiserweight division.
Same with Tony Nese. I mean, here's a guy who, I guess for weeks had, lost a lot of his matches. He was just pretty much a jobber in the cruiserweight division. Now, all of a sudden, I mean, was there any kind of character change? Not really. He's just kind of winning. And so I kind of find it hard to kind of get behind any of these cruiserweights. They just seem to be, beating each other, and I don't know.
I find that, especially with like the moveset that all these guys, the cruiserweights, are trying to get over, Nese and Ali, in a 4-minute match, it's like I've watched the same match involving these guys multiple times when they have to do their 4 minutes, and they're just going to do all their key stuff. It's just such a short time. I don't know. It's just not a bad match. It's just,
I think
it's just there.
Even if they had more time, I don't think it makes that big of a difference now. The problem with the division is the lack of personality.
Which is also part of the storyline, as we will get to.
Sure.
Austin Aries, who was doing commentary, came and interviewed Nese on the ramp, and he asks him about what critics are saying. How critics say he has no charisma, that critics say he is boring to talk to, and Nese says, I don't have to answer to critics.
What was this? So the storyline is Tony Nese's character now is that he actually has no charisma. He's got no character, but he's the premier athlete. He's athletic, but he has no charisma. Great. So, I mean, it would be one thing.
So that means he's going to get a makeover with someone. He's going to try and find some personality.
I don't know. I think it'd be one thing if Nese had a really great comeback for Aries here. It'd also be another, I guess, if Aries was working a program with Nese, but I don't know if that's happening anytime soon. Also, isn't Nese supposed to be a heel?
Yes.
So why would Aries work a program with him anyway? So I don't know what to make of this. I hope that they have something good for Tony Nese coming out of this. But coming out of it, I just felt it was a bit of a waste of a win over Mustafa Ali, who I also thought was, an up-and-coming guy.
Seth Rollins comes out. He says he was banned from the building on Sunday, and he's live tonight. So he calls out Stephanie. Stephanie enters the ring, says that Triple H is not here tonight, and Rollins says, of course not, he's a coward, and asks when Stephanie will let him off his leash. She says Hunter is afraid of what he might do to Rollins and unleash the dark side of Triple H. She says that Rollins turned on the Authority and hasn't seen gold since last August. A drought for Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. Rollins says Hunter is a gutless snake, and Hunter is scared because he is the greatest threat to Hunter's legacy that he has ever seen, and based on the way Stephanie looks at him, she knows that too. Was this supposed to be a line that, Stephanie has, eyes for Seth Rollins? Is that what this was supposed to mean, or that she knows that Seth is a threat to Hunter?
Well, I think Rollins was insinuating it.
Yeah,
and it got a big ooh from the crowd.
Yeah, I think the audience took this as something sexual.
Well, I think it was exactly what it was.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't follow up on it.
No, Stephanie said that look is one of disgust because Hunter is more than a man. He's a creator, and Rollins is just an architect. That might top the "you're just a jester" line. You're just an architect.
Right. You only design.
Is a creator and an architect is one that much less than the other?
I feel like
I would classify an architect
as a
creator.
I feel like it takes more schooling to become an architect. Creator, I guess.
That's so vague.
I guess an artist of some sort is a creator.
Like somebody created Kazuchika Okada a sponge. Right. Someone created this. But somebody designed South Fork Ranch that the Ewing family lived in.
Okay.
And that is a masterpiece.
Well, I don't know.
I'm just saying, I think Seth Rollins' title would be the one I think I could get further with in life than being a creator. So Seth then threatens to invade WWE headquarters and board meetings. Could you imagine that?
I'd love to see that.
I would too. Then he went down a dark path. He says, what are you going to do when I show up at your home and your child opens the door? I was like, yeah, what would happen? Are you threatening to attack his children? I don't know if the audience was necessarily going for this.
No. This was exactly what I wanted for Bray Wyatt. I wish it was Bray Wyatt doing this instead, because
going after Stephanie and his children?
Just some type of anyway. I didn't hate the line. I mean, it's a little odd for a babyface to say it.
Very odd for a babyface.
But I mean, if you ask Seth Rollins, he probably doesn't consider himself a typical babyface. He's always kind of, and maybe that's why this babyface run has not worked out that well for Seth Rollins, is because I feel like they want him to be somewhat, a shade of gray type of character. And a line like this,
once you threaten a man's children, anything Hunter does, I think, is totally justified.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, for Seth Rollins at this point, I just want any type of kind of anger and passion out of him, and I feel like I really got it here. So a line like that really didn't bother me. In fact, I kind of liked it.
Do you remember when Randy Orton, was it Hunter who invaded Randy's home? I think it was. Hunter showed up at
right,
Randy's
yes.
house in 2009. I think it was right after No Way Out 2009. A classic angle in every sense of the word. It ended with Seth saying he will slay the king. So maybe this is all a tease for a Neville program. And Stephanie says that she lied. Hunter is on his way to the arena, and he is coming for Seth Rollins, because apparently Hunter was a far distance away, because he was going to be 2 hours at least until he got here. And that concluded our segment with these two for a tease of something later, and something was to come.
I thought it was a good segment, mainly because I felt it was a rare segment where I felt a wrestler actually got the better of Stephanie McMahon.
Yes.
Stephanie actually had to stand down to the performer.
Seth also sounded somewhat human here.
Okay.
He wasn't the menacing Seth. He wasn't doing a Seth Rollins voice as much in this. I thought he sounded like he had a real vendetta here.
Yeah.
And aside from the kids line, I thought this was a fine Seth Rollins promo.
Yeah, I like Rollins' delivery, and
You're right. He didn't cower to Stephanie.
him playing a guy with nothing to lose, I think, is a great character. Though I question how they arrived to the character, because sure, he has plenty to lose. He's got a job to lose. Doesn't a guy shouldn't.
Are we still to believe that all of this is because Hunter didn't help Seth in that 4-way match on Raw win the title? Is that what the anger is still over?
It's because they tossed him aside for Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that needs a bit of a refresher, because
But
he's not doing anything with Owens anymore.
right. He's also
He's kind of passed Owens over.
what I mean is, like, he doesn't really come across as a guy with nothing to lose because he hasn't lost his job yet. You know, like, I feel like a character like that is better for somebody who's actually been fired by the company and is now, like, storming in, taking over a lot of shows, hijacking shows, because he truly has nothing left to lose. But here, I feel like he still has plenty to lose.
Our next match was Charlotte, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows against Bayley, Cesaro, and Sheamus. Cesaro came out wearing streamers on his wrists. 1 day removed from this gigantic title loss. Cesaro was over it in very quick fashion.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bayley didn't really sell her loss that big either.
Neither of them cared. Sheamus was like the only person who looked upset here, and it was more because of how lame his partner is.
Right.
So they came out, seemed perfectly fine, and they go through the break. They built up to this hot tag with Sheamus, and he attacked Gallows, hit a top rope clothesline. Then he was beating on the chest of Gallows as Charlotte tried to stop Sheamus. Anderson then got clotheslined to the floor. Cesaro went for the swing to Gallows, and that got blocked. Cesaro then scaled to the top, lost his balance, and then recovered and just did a springboard crossbody to the floor as Bayley was left alone with Charlotte, hit the belly to Bayley, and pinned her. And Graves says, well, you didn't do it when it counted.
Yeah, true.
You know what this reminded me of?
What?
Was in like 6th grade, I did this math test, and I did horrible on it. I got like 20%.
Okay.
So my mom made me redo the test at home because my dad was just like, how could you do so poorly? So I redid the test, and I got like 85%. And my dad looked at it, and he just said, well, why didn't you do it when it counted? I was like, I know.
So this really hit home,
This
eh?
Graves line really hit home.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, I'm sorry.
I was Bayley in grade 6.
Okay, well.
Anyway, so are we just getting a rematch? There was zero controversy in this Rumble match. Charlotte won, fair and square.
Right. Well, they're out of challengers, you see, so.
Charlotte just sucks on TV. That's her character. She can't win on TV, but she's great on pay-per-view.
I assume she'll get a match at Fastlane for the title. But they're just out of contenders for this women's division, so they have to drag this out, you know?
I watched the Rumble match. I wasn't blown away by it. I'm not dying to see another singles match.
Right.
And I think you're completely right. There's no other challenger ready. So what, we're going to go right back to the singles match.
Pretty much. You'll probably get it a few times.
Like, at least if there was something. Charlotte did something at the Rumble to screw Bayley. But she won perfectly within the rules.
Yeah. I mean, they'll have to be creative in the TV in the weeks leading up to make us believe that Bayley has another chance, you know, coming out of it. But I didn't have a big problem with it, you know. I thought the whole thing was just sort of a fun house show type of match. I feel like at least Bayley Charlotte is a hotter feud than Cesaro, Sheamus, and Gallows and Anderson, who I felt it was a struggle.
Is that our feud?
It was a struggle for me to even care about that match on Sunday on the kickoff. So
I was more into Sheamus in this match than I was Cesaro here.
Right.
I don't know. Sheamus at least showed some fire here. I don't know. Yeah, right. It's a tag program that it's just very empty. Maybe Bayley should challenge Charlotte at Fastlane, but demand it be on the pre-show. So then it's not technically on pay-per-view.
Interesting. Why not just challenge for a title shot on TV?
Raw?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's going to have to earn that shot, I guess.
Right.
That will be our big story. Stephanie then asks when Foley was going to tell her about making a title match tonight and asks if Mick had a brain fart. He says he was hired to do a job and brings up last week Hunter's music playing out of nowhere and Hunter not being there. Stephanie blames the production team having an error and says it happened on Foley's watch. And he says, please don't talk to me like I'm stupid. And Stephanie says, you have my word. Triple H will be here tonight. And he asks to keep the title match on, stating it will be a good match. And Stephanie just stares a hole through him. And Mick leaves with the impression that the match is still on, despite the protests of Kevin Owens. During this time, the poor ring crew had to change up the entire ring once again for the cruiserweights because Neville was coming out to talk. They had to redo the ropes in between with this 6-person, in between a cruiserweight match and this promo. We couldn't have just done the Neville promo right after the cruiserweight match. We had to have this 6-person in between so that they had to just destroy more tape and throw it out.
You feel bad for the purple tape that they've used?
I feel bad for the people who have to do this stupid job and race to retape these ropes when no one cares.
You shouldn't feel bad because these people get paid to do this. And if they didn't have to tape these ropes, they might be out of jobs.
When are they going to just one day stop with the purple tape? It's just going to stop cold turkey one week, and no one's going to notice it until someone on our message board points out, did you notice there were no purple ropes? And we're both going to say, oh, yeah. And that'll be the end of the purple ropes. The silliest thing that they have come up with, in some time.
Listen, I feel like when this whole cruiserweight thing was initially discussed, I don't think at that time it was such a bad idea. In fact, I felt like watching the CWC, a lot of people, I think myself included, wanted it to be different from
Exactly.
Raw. Okay? And so that's probably the thinking behind this purple tape, behind the different graphics, is because they wanted the cruiserweights to have a different feel from Raw. Because on the CWC, the cruiserweights had such a different presentation and a better presentation from Raw. The problem became it kind of became a Raw-like presentation, but visually it was different. And so maybe the combination, there's a lot of things that didn't really work out and still aren't working out, unfortunately.
The issue is the ropes, it signifies exactly what you're saying. This should be something different. And yet we have these matches where they have to work like everyone else.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to go out there and do a dramatically different style. They want them to blend in style-wise, and yet we're putting on this facade that it's different because the ropes are purple.
But maybe we've seen perhaps this audience doesn't want different. They pay to see Raw.
I don't think they want this because they sit on their hands for these segments.
But maybe the problem isn't necessarily the match quality. It's maybe the personality.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
So Neville is out for his coronation, and he calls himself the King of the Cruiserweights, and the title is his crown, and 205 belongs to the King. He says the people never supported or cared about him, so Rich Swann comes out. He says he has a rematch coming and asks what Neville's gripe is. The people are not out to get him, and this fight, it's only happening in your head. And he calls Neville one of the best, and he proved it at the Rumble, and offers his hand. So Neville says that Swann should get on his knee and bow to the King. And Swann says, forget this. And he goes to leave, and Neville says, you do not turn your back to a king. And they start fighting. Swann hits a Thez press and then lands a head kick, dives onto Neville on the floor, and Neville retreats up the ramp.
Yeah, I think the Cruiserweight division could use more talking segments. Purple tapes or not. Because I feel like the division right now needs a lot more character development and not just straight-up matches where I mean, I know very little about Mustafa Ali. I know a little about Tony Nese now, and I know that he's very
boring.
Uncharismatic. That's what I know about him. So I'm very happy to see segments like this.
Is Neville going to go full King gimmick? Because my God, are they hitting this hard?
Listen, if they bring back the King of the Ring, I feel like he should actually win it, and he should beat heavyweights doing it.
He was actually in it that year that they put it on Barrett last year or whatever.
Right?
Yes.
But I mean, I don't think I would love the idea of a cruiserweight winning the King of the Ring over a bunch of heavyweights to establish that, hey, the cruiserweights aren't necessarily beneath the heavyweights. They're just as good, if not better. Could he pull off the crown thing? I think he could. It might hide those ears too. So it might actually be a good thing for him.
They recap Nia Jax's win over Sasha Banks and re-injuring the left knee of Sasha. Banks is with a trainer in the back and is getting her knee taped up as Bayley walks in. Banks says she's getting ready for her rematch tonight with Nia Jax, and Bayley thinks that she should wait until her knee is healed to face Nia when she's 100%. And Banks says, unlike some people, she isn't okay with coming up short, and walks off.
Love that line. Love that line. Setting up a slow burn for this inevitable feud between Sasha and Bayley.
Yeah, it's a good line.
Yeah.
They recap the Rumble match and Goldberg's quick elimination of Brock Lesnar. And then Owens and Jericho are in the locker room. Jericho spoke to Foley, but the match is still on, and says no matter what happens tonight, they are still the United States champion, essentially concluding that Owens is screwed. Owens says Strowman eliminated 7 people at the Rumble. He needs Jericho's help to keep the Universal title. And Jericho says, well, it is a singles match, and you weren't out there to help me against Zayn. And Owens pleads for Jericho to have his back, and Jericho reluctantly agrees. There was a SmackDown ad promoting John Cena returning to the show as champion on Tuesday. And then Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman was set for the Universal title at the end of the second hour. Jericho came out and he was on commentary. And when Braun made his entrance, he ran over to the desk, attacked Jericho, cleared the desk, and chokeslammed Jericho as Kevin Owens just watched on as his best friend got chokeslammed through a table.
Loved this. Loved it. Took out Jericho early, which is, if you're watching the storyline, is just perfect strategy. And Braun doing it so casually, like a real badass. I thought was a great treatment for him. And cutting the commentary throughout the whole beginning of this match, too, was also a nice touch.
Yes, this was a great reason for the champion to come out first. Braun Strowman is just... He's been great.
He's been booked tremendously.
Like the Rumble, he came off great. And then tonight, they did another really strong job with Braun on this show. So Braun comes down to the ring, and the match begins with Jericho taken out. Owens goes to the floor as the match begins, and then Owens drop kicks him off the apron after Braun chases him. Braun comes in, runs him over, goes to the floor, throws Owens into the barricade, and then Strowman misses running into the post on the floor, and Owens hits a cannonball into the barricade, follows in the ring with a senton, a frog splash. Strowman then stops Owens on the top and hits a power slam. When Roman Reigns' music hits, he enters the arena and runs in and hits a Superman punch to Strowman. The DQ is called at 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Reigns clotheslines Strowman to the floor, but he lands on his feet. Then he leaps off the steps, hits another Superman punch. Again, Braun is on his feet. And finally, he jumps off the steps and into a spear, finally taking down Strowman, and also spears Kevin Owens back in the ring. So Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns appears to be our fast lane match.
Right. There was a real feeling, I thought, of a possible title change in this match. With Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens, because all the odds were stacked against put up against Kevin Owens. Owens was able to wrestle with a great desperation and urgency. So I think a lot of people in attendance could possibly have bought a Braun Strowman title win tonight, and that all set up for what was perhaps the biggest heel reaction tonight when Roman Reigns came out. And just a huge chorus of boos coming off of Roman Reigns' number 30 appearance on Sunday, and followed it up really well here too. So I do feel like the Roman Reigns heel turn has begun.
It feels like it's the only direction for this character to go, and they're fully aware of it. I thought they would air that reaction video on Raw tonight.
Oh, the compilation of all the Roman Reigns videos?
What a great compilation.
I love that stuff. Love
Fantastic.
that stuff.
Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman were out next, and there's a chant of Suplex City. Paul says that Lesnar is crestfallen and disgraced tonight. There's a Goldberg chant that begins, and Heyman says every athlete that is dominant has that one opponent who has their number. And with any great athlete, when it comes to their legacy, you can always say, yeah, but. With Andre the Giant, he had a tremendous run, but then he ran into Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. A clear Hulk Hogan reference on television, as if there haven't been enough of them. With Ronda Rousey, it was Holly Holm, which I guess he didn't decide to pile on Ronda with her second loss. Then said with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, it was Lesnar. And he mentions the performances of The Undertaker and Cena at the Rumble, but their legacies are affected by Lesnar. Kurt Angle won a gold medal with a broken neck and is going into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, but Brock Lesnar. And now, Heyman's kids, when Heyman is apparently cutting promos about his client to his own children bring up Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar in a minute 26. And people on the street over the last 24 hours have been coming up to Paul on the street saying how Goldberg eliminated Lesnar with such ease. And he loathed, yeah, but. He says that term must be eliminated and killed, and announces that Lesnar is challenging Bill Goldberg for one final time at WrestleMania, and the odds are in Bill Goldberg's favor to be the conqueror. But Brock Lesnar says, yeah, but. And that ends the segment. And next week, Bill Goldberg will be on the show to answer the challenge.
What do you think of Paul?
I thought Paul was great here. I thought this was a great promo.
I thought he was good, yeah. Did its job. I didn't think it wasn't among his best, but I thought it was like a good.
I thought this was really good.
Promo.
This sets up the obvious match for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is going to be if this ends up being the title match or not. What do you feel? What do you think is going to be?
Okay, so it would have to be Kevin Owens dropping the title to either Brock Lesnar or Bill Goldberg leading into WrestleMania.
Which would probably be Goldberg. I mean, Goldberg's advertised for Fastlane, so he is expected to be working that show. Lesnar's not.
Possibly.
I don't think it would work for Lesnar to be champion going into WrestleMania for this story.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see Bill Goldberg with the title, though.
Do you think that will be the match at Fastlane? Because that's a really tricky match to do.
Why is that?
Because you have Owens, who's had this run as champion, and your options are Goldberg flattens him in a minute.
Yeah.
Or you do an actual match, which to me takes away because then you're giving Owens more than Lesnar got against Goldberg. And I don't think you want to do that. You want to have Goldberg tested at WrestleMania.
That is
when
tricky.
He faces
That is
Lesnar.
tricky now. That's basically saying you can't have anybody last more than a minute against Bill Goldberg because it would make Brock Lesnar look bad.
Well, I think that the way you could do something is Jericho is the referee, Jericho's involved, and Goldberg at least has to overcome the numbers so you can at least have a longer match.
Right.
But like the priority, it's like if that's your main event at WrestleMania, then Brock should be the one to shine against Goldberg, and Kevin Owens shouldn't be doing a 50-50 match with Goldberg if that's what you're pushing. But lots of people will be upset if Kevin Owens loses in 2 minutes.
Yes. And to be quite honest, like seeing Bill Goldberg at the Rumble didn't really make me all that confident about his ability to pull off, a very physical match in the style of a Kevin Owens title defense that we've typically seen. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I know in the marquee they probably want their biggest names fighting for the title. I could see that, but as a fan of matches, more in-ring stuff, I don't know if I necessarily want to see that.
Watching this promo, I had to say, like this does feel like the main program for WrestleMania, but I didn't feel this needs the title.
I personally don't think it does.
Like I think this has been built up really well. I think this is
okay, but
this is Lesnar trying to just beat this guy who's had his number.
So they don't have the title. Do they go on last? It won't be Jericho Owens.
No, that's not. Yeah,
I don't think it'll be Bray and Orton either.
No. I think
this would have to go.
It would be this or Taker and Roman, And I think that this would be the one that goes on last. I mean, they're going to do more than a minute 26. I still don't think that this one should go much more than like 12, 13 minutes.
Right.
I think that's kind of, once you're passing that, you're kind of pushing.
Does that set a bad precedent for the title, though, to not put that on last?
I feel you should.
They've done it so many times in the past, but
I don't know if you'd want to, if your title programs were Owens, Jericho, and Bray and Randy.
Yeah.
I think that would be really tough to go on last.
No.
They've made the mistake in the past of putting the title on last, and the match has been hurt because of it, because it wasn't the hottest match that year.
So knowing that, is that more incentive to put the title on Brock or Lesnar?
It's an argument for it.
Brock
I mean, this is the
Goldberg,
top program, but we'll see. Sasha Banks and Nia Jax was next. Jax applied this full Nelson and pulled down Sasha to the floor and just swung her knee first into the post. This looked great.
Looked good, yeah.
Then they got into the ring, and she applied this reverse Boston Crab and slammed down on her knee and applied this ankle lock as the bell rung out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Like, the referee was not looking at the timekeeper. Nia looked surprised. The ref looked surprised. Cole goes, "We're not done yet." I don't know what this was. They covered great, like this was just a TKO finish, but this felt very like the timekeeper got ahead of themselves. That's what this felt like, because why would it be just a bell ring when the referee is not signaling for anything?
It felt like Montreal, but
with the zero stakes.
Yeah, without any controversy attached to it. But I mean, this was a little just kind of weird, and it definitely caught the crowd by surprise. It seemed to catch the referee and all the participants.
I think Cole was surprised too.
The announcers, everything. There looked to be a little bit of panic here, but they basically ran with it. I assume the intent was what came out of this was a passing out from the submission move, and somebody just maybe jumped the gun on the bell ring.
I don't know what happened here, but it just seemed to be people were on a different page here.
Yeah.
Jax just continued to bend the knee with this crossface as Bayley ran down to stop Nia. And then after the break, we just saw Sasha being helped to the trainer's room with Bayley. And that was it, as she was limping. Lana is in the ring, calls Laredo a small, pathetic village, and introduces Handsome Rusev.
Handsome Rusev, that's his new name now.
He could not adopt this nickname at a better time with this broken nose.
The broken nose is...
Which apparently, it was not the tooth last week, as I had guessed, but it was the nose that broke.
Handsome Rusev with the broken nose. I love it.
This mask looks awesome on this guy.
It looks great.
I think he should keep it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it worked great for Cody.
Yeah. Face masks are great, from Virgil on. Rusev and Jinder were set to take on Big Cass and Enzo in a tornado tag match. Cass and Enzo come out, and first they observe Jinder's skin and the veins.
Oh?
His veins.
Oh, yeah. They made
about.
fun of his veins. I thought this was a little controversial.
They said his arms look like a road map, and then said, "Too bad you're not going anywhere." This was the second night in a row that an announcer had made the veins a point of reference, because David Otunga was noting that when John Cena's right vein in his arm starts twitching, his opponent's in trouble.
A lot of big veins.
A lot of veins.
In the WWE.
Then they made fun of Rusev's face mask, and Cass rhymed tornado with Laredo, and we got a bunch of Wizard of Oz references, including calling Rusev and Jinder the Lollipop Kids, and that they are going down the yellow brick road.
Okay.
They went through the break fighting. Rusev and Mahal drove Cass into the post on the floor and then into the barricade, so they had the numbers advantage on Enzo. Rusev was raking the eyes of Enzo. Then it was Jinder's turn to do the exact same. Cass fought back. Jinder was sent to the floor. Empire Elbow was hit to Rusev, with Jinder making the save. And then Enzo pulled Jinder to the floor, sent him into the steps, and then snapped Rusev's neck on the top rope. Cass hit a big boot, and then the bada boom shakalaka, and Enzo pinned Rusev at 9:38.
Yeah. Did you like the match? It was, I thought, a pretty typical match.
It was quite the tornado tag match. Triple H was then shown arriving in a limo, and this is where they announced Bill Goldberg will be on Raw next week in Portland to answer the challenge. Couldn't he have tweeted his answer? It's really expensive, his course of action. But I guess he does things in person.
He wouldn't get paid.
He knows how to milk a number.
Yeah, he wouldn't get paid to appear by tweeting.
He could have just said, "Yep, WrestleMania." Triple H comes out for the final segment. He says that he plucked Seth Rollins from obscurity and made him a star, sang his praises, and he became the first NXT champion. He says that he got everything that he wanted with his help, and all that Seth had to do was hold up his end of the bargain. But he collapsed under the pressure. His leg gave out. He handed Seth everything on a silver platter, and Seth just spit in his face. He was a failure without Hunter, and now Seth blames him, but says that Seth owes him an apology because of Hunter giving him everything. He says he doesn't go after Rollins because his wife told him not to, because it's best for business. And he's trying so hard not to be that guy anymore that ends careers and crushes dreams and injures people. Mm-hmm. He says he puts on this suit every day and this stupid tie, and he tries to be a creator. And then Seth comes to NXT, where he is trying to create the next Seth Rollins, and he's done trying. And he takes off his jacket, he takes off his stupid tie, and then he calls out Rollins. He says, "You know who your creator is. Now it's time to meet your destroyer." I'm saying this with a lot of sarcasm. I thought this was a very good promo from Hunter.
I thought so too.
I thought he delivered this really well. And he probably came up with like 3 different t-shirt like designs out of this.
Ooh.
The creator, the destroyer, the crusher of dreams. I mean,
all shirts I would
He was getting his WrestleMania marketing plan. This is a creator, truly.
Yeah.
A marketer.
Maybe a Lego set.
Yes.
Create, and then you could break it apart.
Yes. I mean, all this creation talk, I was getting ready for him to say that Stephanie's expecting again.
I think three's a lot of kids.
I guess he's in that. He could say, our next child will be named Seth because he's going to do everything you were supposed to but failed at.
Whoa.
I'm creating the superior Seth.
So then would Seth stalk Seth at Hunter's house?
God, dude, that would be like WWE's Westworld, okay? And he goes to finally confront himself as a child.
It somehow traveled back in time.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And then it's just a loop, like, forever.
Oh. Tyler Black plays Peacemaker.
Okay.
Rollins comes out, and he comes down the ramp, and then from the crowd enters Samoa Joe, who jumps Seth, throws him into the steps, throws him into the barricade. Seth just bumped all over here for Joe. Hunter just takes off as Joe throws Rollins into the ring, continues his attack, hit about a dozen sentons, and then applied the coquina clutch, leaving Seth Rollins out cold as the show went off the air.
Good debut, I thought.
Good debut
for
Joe.
Came as a surprise to me. I think
the man behind the muscle buster is the muscle.
Yes. And, a lot of people were probably disappointed he didn't appear at the Rumble. I thought this was a better debut. To have him in the Rumble, I feel like he would have definitely been lost amongst a lot of the big names in there, like, Brock and Goldberg and Taker. I feel like this one leaves a bit more of an impression on you, and Joe doesn't have to lose anything coming out of it. So I thought his attack was good, and him being under Triple H, I mean, perhaps a complaint is that now he is essentially just an underling of Triple H's. He's the side boss to Triple H's final boss.
He's Seth's fast lane opponent, probably.
Yeah, which is maybe a little unfortunate, but there are worse places to debut if you're Samoa Joe. I think it's a perfectly fine slot for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to debut him now, the options are here or something in the Elimination Chamber. And I don't think anyone would expect him to be winning the chamber match. So,
does Joe win in a match against Rollins?
I don't think he should.
You don't think he should win?
I think you want to have Seth really...
Yeah, but you can't have Joe lose his first pay-per-view match.
What program are we building, though? Like, Joe is kind of here as that obstacle.
Yeah.
What are you doing with Joe at WrestleMania?
Well, they can always do something. What are you doing, Samoa Joe at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Who's available?
No one.
Anyway, but he'll be in the Andre Battle Royal. He'll do really well. In the
He
Andre
could be.
Battle
Or
Royal.
he'll be in like Hunter's Corner or something.
Oh, God. Okay. It's
So-
weird.
So that was
Roman Reigns. Oh, never mind.
No, Fastlane, I mean, you can look at it now. You're probably getting Owens and Goldberg, Reigns and Strowman, Rollins and Joe, Charlotte and Bayley maybe in a rematch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Neville and Swan.
do you think they'll hold that off a month? March 5th is
Well,
that pay-per-view.
I don't know who else you can have ready for the pay-per-view for Neville.
Tony Nese. After he goes to
I
acting
guess.
classes. And
Yeah. They'll have a personality off. Who has the better personality? Maybe they'll go on like like one of those
blind dates.
blind date type of things. The ones where you speed date. Maybe they'll speed date.
Speed date.
Whoever gets the better score at the end of the speed dating for best personality will win the Cruiserweight Championship.
Okay.
Okay, we should probably stop.
Some wonderful ideas.
Yeah.
This was obviously the big plan of taking Rollins out of the Rumble was because of this angle. And probably the original idea, from what I understand, was to do this in the Rumble. I think it probably was more effective to do it. Do you think it was better to do it on Raw? Or do you think this could have been good to eliminate Rollins from the Rumble with Joe running in that stadium?
I feel like you have more TV time on Raw. I mean, Hunter appearing, I hope maybe will add something, to the TV rating. I feel like it's a more effective thing to close Raw with than to just have it in the body of the pay-per-view.
Like, this was the whole focus of the show. It would have kind of been hard to put the pieces together at the Rumble to explain Hunter is sending Joe to do this.
And
I mean, you could do it, but
in the body of a 6-hour show, come on.
Yeah. So anyway, did you enjoy this Raw?
I thought it closed really strong. A little bit of filler in between, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good Raw. Yeah.
And we've got Goldberg next week and a long wait until, a month until Fastlane.
But then you have the Chamber.
The Chamber, they've got to get pretty much the entire card out, probably on this week's SmackDown, you would assume. And we will chat about that episode on Wednesday on Review-A-Smackdown as well. We will chat Talking Smack and 205 Live. And you can go to liveaudiowrestling.com to grab all of our shows, all of the news that's out there. If you were watching tonight on Facebook Live, that's cool. Subscribe to our shows, you freeloaders.
Yeah.
Anything else to send people off with?
Just take care of yourselves and each other.
And that is our break. Each week, you have a chance to win a t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees during Review-A Raw. All you have to do is pay attention for the secret question and then submit your answer at Law Radio on Twitter, and you'll be entered into a draw to win your t-shirt, including our own brand of shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/law.